Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news and note smash-up video today, starting with the double Olympic champion Bakhodir Jalolov, who was meant to return in Canada and resume his pro career, but he was pulled from the card late on. So Jalolov, and you can see here from his Instagram page, was previewing his fight 5 days out, and then he was pulled from the card, not actually saying anything on his Instagram apart from everything will be fine. The press release from Eye of the Tiger Promotions, this was the card that he was going to be on, it says that in what was expected to be the co-feature bout of the evening, a medical issue forced two-time Olympic heavyweight gold medalist Bakhodir Jalolov to withdraw from his fight against former French champion David Spilmont, forcing the matchup to be cancelled. Boxing scene had a little bit more, but it was a little bit unclear what he actually had. It just states that he was removed from the card after falling ill following the weigh-in. So make of that what you will. It's hard to know if we should be concerned about that. But given the Olympics was, more than 6 months ago at this point, and Jalolov hasn't resumed his pro career, it just, it's a little bit of a letdown, I think, for heavyweight fans who are hoping that Jalolov is going to get back into the thick of things in the heavyweight division sooner rather than later, because it really has been a stop-start sort of career for Jalolov, who has a couple of times dropped down back to the amateurs in pursuit of Olympic glory, and obviously it's paid off, but his pro career has taken a back seat. So he's got the golds, but obviously he's got zero momentum in the heavyweight division right now. And with things set to change in the next couple of years, with a lot of the big name fighters, contenders, and champions slowly working their way out, to retirement, names like Jalolov could be the ones. They could be the sort of heir to the heavyweight division potentially. There's a whole bundle of names: Itauma, Torres, Justice Huni, Bakhodir Jalolov, and you can probably think of a host of others that are looking to sort of stake a claim and become the big dogs in the heavyweight division. So disappointing that Jalolov was obviously off that card, but hopefully he's okay and hopefully back out soon. Frank Warren has added to his ever further growing heavyweight stable, adding the 2024 Olympian Delicious Orie to the stable. As you can see here, this is the announcement that came out. So actually Frank Warren's stable is kind of crazy. His website doesn't seem to work at the moment, but he's got about 15 or so heavyweights that he's actually added to his stable, including quite a bit of young talent. So there is some sort of transition planning going on in the Frank Warren stable. He's got a mix of obviously seasoned campaigners, guys that are sort of maybe midway through their career, and quite a few guys at the start of it, obviously having Moses Itauma, and also recently having signed Adedeji Adegbola. So he's an Anthony Joshua managed fighter. He's been in Joshua camps. He's had some decent successes at the amateur level, and there's a whole host of other guys who've signed in the past year. Warren's stable is ridiculous. I mean, it's probably the deepest heavyweight stable that I've ever seen. It's kind of crazy, but there's levels to it. So, he is planning for the future, and with his tie-in, Frank Warren's tie-in with the Saudis being kind of one of the, if not the main promoter for a lot of those cards, there is opportunity galore and a pipeline and a pathway for a lot of these fighters that they can see. And more success breeds more success, and guys are signing on wanting to be part of it. In terms of Delicious Orie, who was knocked out early in the Olympics, he says, "I can't wait to get this next chapter underway." So Orie, 6'6", says, "I've put the heartbreak of Paris behind me and look back on my amateur career with pride. A home Commonwealth Games where I won my first major gold, and the closing the European Championship as Team GB's flag bearer with a gold medal around my neck were definitely the highlights. I'd like to thank GB Boxing, Team GB, for all their support over the past few years. I've teamed up with Steel City Gym, STN Sports and Queensbury Promotions, who together I feel are the team that will take me to the top of the heavyweight division. Queensbury is the home of heavyweight boxing. And it's sort of hard to argue that at this point in time. And he continues, and have a long tradition of developing boxers the right way and building superstars. I can't wait to get going. So you have Frank Warren saying, this is yet another signature heavyweight signing for us at Queensbury. I'm delighted to welcome Delicious to the team. Delicious has got everything stacked in his favour to make himself a major success as a professional heavyweight. He is skillful, powerful, popular, and charismatic, and I'm certain the British public will get behind him in a big way as he makes his way in the sport. We have got an incredible depth in the heavyweight division here at Queensbury, but as always, we develop each fighter as an individual, and Delicious will be given the right fights at the right time to progress him towards major title contention. I'm very much looking forward to getting him started and cannot wait to see Delicious in action. I guess one question that fans, including myself, have with the advent of all these big time cards in Saudi, sort of seems a lot of the lower level cards have just sort of stalled out a bit. There's not as many. So does that mean that the opportunities for, especially if you've got a huge stable, become a little bit harder to come by? Certainly a question and one thing to keep your eye on. But signings like Delicious Orie and Edidiji, Adegbola, a whole host of others recently from Warren. I mean, the future looks bright, at least in terms of that stable and where it's headed. Meanwhile, Frank Warren says that he's putting Tyson Fury's happiness before return to the ring. As we know, Fury has allegedly retired, but many speculate that that is also just to increase some interest in dollars in a potential fight with Anthony Joshua. He has retired a few times before. But Warren says, I don't speak to him on a regular basis because he's spending time with his family. He nearly had a year in training camp with a fight. One camp very late into the camp fell apart because of his cut eye. He got back in camp again for the Usyk fight, then had another camp for the rematch. Last year was a lot of sacrifice for him, not seeing his family, his wife and kids and so forth. He's making up for it now. He's retired and I'm just looking forward to him being happy. That's all I want to do is see him being happy. He's retired and God bless him. He also continues, he says, he's been a great, magnificent servant for British and world boxing. He's been an unbelievable world champion. He's one of the two best heavyweights in the 21st century. I love it. I want him to be happy. That's all that counts for me. And I guess with Frank Warren having such a stable full of riches in terms of heavyweight talent, I guess he can kind of, put Tyson Fury and his retirement to the side and go, well, there's plenty of other guys that I can bring through. Plenty of other talent that I can sort of promote and put forward and potentially have success with. So the blow of the retirement has probably eased just a little bit. Someone that is calling out one of Frank Warren's prodigies, prospect Moses Itauma, is Charles Martin. So he wants a fight with the young Itauma, who's 19 years old, or is he 20? I can't remember. He says right now he's been stopping everyone quick, but it is real different when another puncher is coming back at you. Let's see if he can take it as good as he gives it. I can KO anyone in the world, including a 20-year-old. So Martin, as we know, former IBF champion from 2016, he is well and truly on the downslide of his career, approaching 40, and he knows that his career and what he brings right now is at a certain level. So I think has come to terms with the fact that he's trading on his name at this point. And he does have, at least recently, a little measure of success in that fight with Jared Anderson. What was that, a year or 18 months ago, where he had some success and hurt Anderson midway through that fight, ultimately going on to lose it. So that fight, I think, was also important for this stage of his career because people will say, well, look what he did with Anderson. You can get a yardstick for a fight with Itauma. But as we know, heavyweights, especially on the downslide of their career, sometimes they can fall off quickly and the slide just keeps continuing. So what Martin's got left is unclear. I certainly think that Itauma beats him in handily. But it's not a bad fight for this stage of Itauma's career. Let's face it, it's on the same level-ish as Dempsey McKean, maybe a slight half a rung higher. I do think that Charles Martin is one of those yardsticks, one of those sort of important stepping stone fights that you'd want your prospect to usually have. But obviously with this whole thing with can he get to a title, can he get to the top quickly and all this sort of stuff, beat Mike Tyson's record, some of these things, maybe they're being sort of thrown out the window. But if that doesn't ultimately become a reality, I think these sorts of level of fights is actually very appropriate. And let's face it, by the time he does get to the top, he actually needs to have some meaningful rounds to get some of the experience that he is going to need. And Frank Warren says, of that call out, I love it. You've got all these former world champions and all these guys coming out and challenging guys who've just turned 20 years of age and had 10 fights. I think it's brilliant. I'm interested in all these fights with Moses. It's part of his quest and his drive to win a world title. If he's as good as we believe he is, and a lot of people beside me think he is, I think they're the fights that down the road will certainly be making. And also, if he was asked if he could have a shot at WBA regular champion Kubrat Pulev, Warren says there's so many options there. At the moment, 3 of the belts are owned by Mr. Usyk, and the other one is with Daniel. Daniel, as you know, is defending that on 22nd February at Riyadh season show against Joe Parker. We will see how all the dust settles before we do that. Another heavyweight on the Queensbury books is Fabio Wardley, coming off an impressive first-round destruction of Fraser Clark, the story adds. And then you have Warren saying, I want to see him in a big fight. We'll have a couple of big fights this year. We're working on something at the moment, which I think everybody's going to like, and I'm definitely going to get him out and give him his dream of fighting at Ipswich. So just a little update there on Fabio Wardley. And you have Teremoana Jnr. centered in this promo picture. He'll be returning on the Kambosos Jr. versus Jordan card, which is going to be on March the 22nd. So this is going to be in Sydney, Australia. In the press release that came out with that one, Teremoana Jr. says, I'm excited to be back in action and heading to Sydney for another huge night of Australian boxing. It's another step on the ladder for me to get to the very top, and I won't be happy until I get there. People keep asking me if I want to get more rounds in, and of course I'm ready for that and looking forward to it when it comes, but if I can get someone out of there in 10 seconds, I will do it. I'm a chilled guy outside of the ring, but don't get it twisted. When that bell rings, I'm there to do damage and knock people out. That's what people want to see from heavyweight boxing, and that's what I deliver. And I like that statement. I think sometimes in the pursuit of winning, obviously a win is a win, but someone who's going out there trying to do damage and bring the entertainment and excitement, fans do really warm up to that. So looking forward to again seeing the prospect Teremoana Jr. back March the 22nd. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.